Well, welcome to the Friday Bubble. Today we've got some great news. Moet have brought out the new vintage of Grand Vintage 2016. And who better to help tell us a little bit than Benoit Gouez. Benoit, you've been making Moet now since 2005
as chef de cab.
I
I started with the house in 1998 as assistant winemaker, and I've been named chef de cab, so in charge of the creation for Möet Chandon in 2005.
So you've seen many vintages now.
Few now, yeah, it's been my 27th harvest this year at Möet Chandon.
Wow. Now we saw 2015 not long ago, 2016 here, quite a contrast in growing conditions.
Yeah, but it's what I like with vintage. You know, in Champagne, most of the production is non-vintage. 90% of production is non-vintage, and it's a game of consistency. Whereas vintage for me is about uniqueness, singularity, and charisma. I'm used to say that we don't craft Moet Chandon vintage, but a vintage by Moet Chandon. So the focus is really on the vintage character, the story of the year, the climate, the decisions we've made, the emotions we have had during the harvest, during the tasting, during the blending process, and every single vintage has to be unique. That's super important for me. And yes, 2016 comes after a couple of vintages, 13 and 15, that have been more influenced by nature. You know, 13 was a very late harvest with very little fruitiness, a lot of yeastiness, a lot of energy. 15 was the opposite. Drought, heat, very ripe grapes, intensity, fruitiness, structure on the palate. And 16 comes back to a more classic style of vintage in Champagne.
Did you see one of the varieties perform better in the harvest?
Alors, Chardonnay. Okay. But in fact, at the beginning, Chardonnay was late. At the beginning of the maturation, Chardonnay was far behind Pinot Noir and Meunier.
Right.
So we started with Meunier in the end, and then with Pinot Noir, and Chardonnay has been harvested last. That is quite unusual. Okay. Usually Chardonnay tend to ripen faster and join Pinot Noir and Meunier at harvest, but this time, and it has been the same this year, 2024, Chardonnay has been harvested last. But by being patient with Chardonnay, we found that we had Chardonnays with a nice vivacity, a nice freshness, a nice liveliness. So it represents 48% of the blend. So it's one of the highest percentage of Chardonnay we have had for very, very long in the Moet Chandon vintage. Complemented with 34% of Pinot Noir and some Meunier for the fleshiness and the pulp and
that lovely red.
That quality of I always believe that some Meunier helps to bridge Chardonnay and Pinot Noir together.
Yes. Okay. That's interesting. When I smelt it, I wasn't 100% sure of the percentage of Chardonnay, but you do get more yellow fruit, don't you? You get that lovely...
I think we have stone fruits. We still have some floral character. It has some citrus, but a ripe citrus character. And what I also like in 2016, and especially compared to the previous ones, if I come back to 13 that I introduced as being lightly fruity and therefore very yeasty. On the other hand, 15 was highly fruity and therefore the yeast was really lower. In 16 I have the right balance, everything is right, but I have an almost equal balance in between the fruitiness and the yeastiness. Yes, I have the fruit, but I already have the buttery, nutty, brioche character we expect from some time only in the cellars.
It's interesting what you said about the Meunier's job, because we often talk about Meunier for its fruit characteristic, but then you say it's a really good way of knitting the Chardonnay and the Pinot Noir.
Again, for me, Pinot Noir, Meunier, Chardonnay are different animals.
Right. And
so you have to work them differently for what they are. And in the case of Meunier, I'm not looking personally for fruitiness out of Meunier. I'm more looking for that quality of again bridging Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. It's like a sauce in a dish, you know. Right. The Meunier is going to coat, to envelop, to embrace, and to melt with the Chardonnay and the Pinot Noir. It's really what I expect, at least in the vintage. In the Brut Impérial, I will look for more straightforward style of Meunier to bring the fruitiness. In the vintage, it's a different role I'm looking for.
One of the nice things with the yields are obviously being a little bit lower in 2016, It's also nice to see we've got really nice acidity. So you must have had quite a warm August without it being too many super hot days.
In fact, the beauty of 2016 is that we have had a little bit of everything.
Right.
So some grapes were super ripe, some others were not so much ripe. So basically we had structure, we had freshness, we had pulp, we had fruitiness. And for me 2016 is really a composition. You know, it's really a blend. In fact, the style of Moet Chandon Grand Vintage 2016 has been created at blending, playing with nature, obviously. But the profile is really blended, and I think you get it even more on the palate.
Right.
There is for me a sensation of harmony, fluidity, a sort of a seamless flow of sensation in 2016 that really comes from the blend.
Yeah. One of the things I love is that for a young champagne, there seems to be harmony in it already. It seems to be, maybe you've made me think that way because you said about the Meunier bridging, but it does seem very harmonious at this stage of its evolution.
It's really constructed.
Yes.
In fact, it's a construction, and still considering its maturity, its freshness, its structure, I think it has a nice potential ahead.
Very pretty fruit as well.
Yes.
There's you know, as it has a bit more time in the glass, you really see the stone fruit, you see the citrus fruit, and it just really comes together beautifully on the palate. And there's a little bit of chalkiness now coming through,
also,
which I didn't get at the beginning. No. It's lovely.
But for me, the feeling I have from 2016 is a little bit like serenity after the storm.
Now, of course, you make a little bit of rosé.
Yes.
So, Grand Vintage rosé is always one of those wines I really love, for the reason that I guess you have fun with it. It's that fruit. It's that
43% Pinot Noir, including 13% of red wine, and 42% of Chardonnay, and then some Meunier. And the 13% of red wine from Pinot Noir bring the color, even more fruitiness, red, delicate fruitiness, and some extra structure on the palate. And I think that 2016 there is a quality of stretch, you know, and of a precision on the finish, because it wasn't massive Pinot Noir.
Okay.
You know, and they mostly come from IE, that is quite a sophisticated cru, where we have a lot of elegance, and even in the maturity and in the making for red wines, I don't want to go too far in the extraction.
You explain that brilliantly, because you know when you have that red wine element, the red wine element has brought some beautiful juicy fruit. I love the little bit of bitter tannin on it. I think it's rather flattering, because it ends with that black, dark fruit profile, which is
even a hint of chocolate.
Yes.
And for me, it's something that I'm looking for more and more in our champagne and in our wines. I think in the context of global warming, where acidity tends to be reduced, tannins, noble bitterness can participate to the freshness and that sensation of persistency and freshness. And yes, the red wines of Pinot do contribute with that. Is it a pink grapefruit? But yes, there is a sensation of a light bitterness and savory bitterness on the finish.
Brilliant. Well, I really enjoyed the white. I'm going to have to say, today I'm absolutely loving the rosé.
Good.
And I think it is that little bit extra that is there on that. So 2016, there aren't many of them yet in the market. I'm really excited about this vintage. People don't know much about it, so thank you for taking us through the journey, because 2016 was a journey.
Every single vintage is a journey, and this one even more.
And look at the wine. Cheers, Benoit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.